It's a special edition of our first NBC Bank weekend update. Lenny Van Gilder normally on that side, Ken Trahan normally on this side. We switch him up because Ken's going to take you through his opinions on the start of the high school football playoffs because it is that time of year. 984 teams from Louisiana are in the state high school playoffs. So something close to that at least. I lost count at some point, but it's
207,
okay. 207 out of the 294 are in the playoffs. Basically, you play, you just about get in. Let's go through them here because there's a lot to get to because there are 207 teams in. Okay, let's start in the non-select side. Class 5A, West Monroe is the number one seed. Certainly deservedly so. Your thoughts on favorites and dark horses?
Yeah, they're the favorite. They lost their quarterback early on, but they've lost him last year too. And they got to the semifinals and lost a jump ball game at Destrehan 27-22 in the semis. Undefeated this year, including out of state. Stout defense, run the ball extremely well. They're the team to beat. Destrehan's the third seed. They're undefeated, and they've pretty much whipped everybody. That would be the only concern is had they been tested. They've been too good to be tested, basically, and the district wasn't quite as good as it was a year ago. Zachary's the 2 seed, and they are a potent offensive football team. Their only loss was to Calvary Baptist. And, of course, Byrd, a rejuvenated team, given the reprieve, and then they turned around and beat Evangel after they got the reprieve. So that tells you that Mike Suggs' team is ready. They're a dangerous team. Robert Valdez, an interesting team at Scotlandville in his first year, left West St. John to go to Scotlandville. They've only lost one. They're very good. Dark horse teams, Acadiana, they're an 11th seed. And Landry Walker, they've got Katayon Thompson back. They're 13th seed, and physically they can match up with anybody in this class.
That would be interesting if they can make a run here in their first year in 5A, having moved up from 4A. Speaking of 4A, Neville is the number one seed here. Is this the best number one seed on a non-select side, perhaps?
Arguably. I mean, listen, they're undefeated. They've been there, done that, defending champions, and they're the team to beat. Mickey McCarthy has an elite program. Cecilia, Benton are really good football teams, and, of course, Crowley's undefeated. The Gents largely unknown to a lot of people because they haven't seen them, but they've scored a lot of points. And then Warren Easton is the 5th seed, and Tyreek Starks has stepped right in where Deshaun Capers-Smith left off and done a great job. They only lost one game, and that was at Shreveport to Evangel, so that's a very dangerous team. Dark horse teams, Plaquemine. They got to the semifinals last year. They're playing very well and can score. And Edna Carr, I don't care about the 4 losses. They're big. They have a great quarterback in Alden Clark. He's back healthy now. They beat Mac 35. Watch out for the Cougars.
Late, a hot team late, and that could be the kind of team that can make a run deep into the playoffs. We look at 3A. Had a chance to see Lutcher last week in that terrific game against De La Salle that decided the 9-3A championship. Vaulted the Bulldogs of Tim Detillier up to number 1 in the power rankings and the number 1 seed as we head into the playoffs.
And they've been there, done that, and no disrespect, but this is the weakest class to me of all the classes, and I think Lutcher is a prohibitive favorite as a result, and I expect them to be the team to beat and to win the championship. Kirkland's an outstanding player under center. They have a really stout defense, led by Sully Lesh. So this is a good football team. Gina's undefeated. And again, the question is competition, who they faced, how good are they? We really don't know, but we're going to find out about the Giants. Eunice is the 2nd seed, and obviously they're a traditionally good team. Church Point, the 5th seed, is good, but watch out for Patterson. They've won 8 straight games. They're the 4th seed. They played good competition early, and they're accustomed to being in the playoffs. Dark horse teams, North Webster. Consolidated school, good football team. Kaplan's another team to watch, and the 16th seed, Wassman. They got a tough first-round game with Carroll in a rematch. If they can win that, they've got the talent to go far.
Yeah, that would be Wassman and Lutcher, perhaps, a second-round game. That could be very interesting. As we look at Class 2A, Manny, another team that's been there and done that before, they are the 1 seed here.
Well, again, this is a class that doesn't look very tough, and they're the defending champion, and they were advocates of this split, and boy, are they loving it right now. They got a winless team in the first round, and they're in a position to defend. And, of course, Kinder, they flipped it the last 2 years. Kinder beat Manny 2 years ago for the title. Manny beat Kinder last year, and Kinder's there again, and they're probably going to have to square off yet again. Welsh had an unbeaten season till Week 10, got beat, but they're still good. The Greyhounds can play. Watch out for the 4th seed, Rayville. Fast team, the fastest in the class. They're playing great right now. The Red Devils of Pickering hoping to get a rematch with Manny. Dark horse teams, Sterlington, been there, done that. They know how to play at this time of the year. This is a good football team, and I think you have to pay attention to Mangum, too. Defending state champion in 1A, moved up in class, and they're still good.
We'll see. Speaking of 1A, Kentwood gets the week off as there's only 26 teams in this bracket, so we won't see them in action until next Friday, but they are the number 1 seed, and They and the other high seeds, again, get to watch 1 week while some teams play their way into the second round.
Yeah, Kenwood, of course, with a huge win over Southern Lab in Week 10 to win their district, a very good league at that. Basile's the second seed at 9-1. I still have to like the Kangaroos to be the slight favorite in this class overall. And then, of course, when you look at Haynesville, they're Haynesville. And somebody's got to beat them to prove that they can. Otherwise, they're still the best until somebody beats the best. I think Kentwood can, but Haynesville's still the team to beat in my mind. East Beauregard's a dark horse team at 8-2. Arcadia 7-3. They're a dark horse team. Just look at who they've played, and that'll tell you why I put them in that position.
All right, that takes you through the non-select side of things. They will play their championships on the second weekend of December in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. That's 4 weeks from now. Takes a little bit less time to get through the select side of things, and they will play their championships on Friday, December 4th, and also known as the Marathon Day. We'll probably be there till after midnight, but that's for another day. We start in Division I, and that's, of course, where all 7 members of the Catholic League are, and that's 70% of the bracket, in fact. And 2 first-round games this week, including one we'll have here, actually both of them live here at sportsnola.com. One is part of the first NBC Bank Prep Showcase with St. Aug Holy Cross. That'll re-air Saturday at noon on WHNO. Rummel, the Catholic League champion, the number 1 seed here. They and the other top 6 seeds all have byes this weekend.
They do, and of course the Rummel Raiders are the team to beat in my mind. They're the most complete team, if healthy. They've had some health issues. They played a very tough schedule early, but they've gone undefeated in the Catholic League for 2 straight years, and that's very, very impressive, especially with Curtis joining the league this year. They don't have any perceivable weakness, so I think they're the team to beat, but staring at a rematch with Jesuit in the quarterfinals, who beat them last year in the playoffs. And keep in mind, the best team in this class has lost both years under this format thus far. And of course, Evangel is running the ball better, running it more. They lost to Bird in Week 10, but the advantage they have, Lenny, is they haven't played anybody in this class. That's going to help them. Brother Martin gets a break. They have the best offense in the class, if not the state, and they get to play teams that they haven't had to face yet in Catholic High, and should they win Evangel, so I think they've got a chance. Obviously, John Curtis is the 5th seed, and they're John Curtis. You're never going to dismiss them. They're legitimate. St. Paul's the 4th seed, and St. Paul's is, they went through their district undefeated. You've got to respect them. So, good team. Dark horses, Jesuit and St. Augustine. Sounds weird when you're talking about teams that are 4-6 and 2-8, but they both have the ability to be able to break through.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Again, Holy Cross, St. Aug, Jesuit, Shaw are this weekend's games. Couple of intriguing matchups already set for next weekend in Brother Martin against Catholic and John Curtis at St. Paul's. You jump ahead to Division II. I tell you what, this is a loaded class, starting with University Lab on top as the 1 seed.
Yeah, they're the team to beat. They had a lot of injuries this year. They played a tough schedule. They opened the season playing Rummel. It's their only loss, and they've won 9 straight since, and they're still the team to beat. They may have the best player in the state in Dylan Moses, and of course they are the defending champions, and they beat Parkview Baptist during the year, one of the top contenders in that class. St. Thomas More drops down from Division I, and we know what they're capable of doing. And they are a team that has a big win over Hanville, as an example, among others, so they're dangerous. And then, of course, De La Salle is the 3rd seed. And in a strange way, I think that loss in Week 10 is going to help them, because they needed to be tested and find out what it's like to play in a playoff-style game against a top-shelf opponent. And they got that. And I think the loss will help them. I think they're a legitimate threat. And then, of course, you look at Parkview Baptist. Listen, they're there every year, and they played for the championship last year. Their losses were to John Curtis, U-High, and Riverside. Enough said. And then, of course, in terms of dark horse teams in this class, St. Louis Catholic, they've won 6 in a row, played extremely well. And then Turlings Catholic. They could win this thing. And here they are seated at 6. They could win this division. They're that good with the way they throw the ball with Cole Kelly.
Yeah, just some crazy matchups potentially coming in the quarterfinal weekend here, with just some names that you don't expect to be facing off necessarily that early in the bracket. We look ahead to Division III. Riverside Academy, great year. They are the number 1 seed, and deservedly so. But I tell you what, Riverside and then St. Thomas Aquinas at number 2. If it comes to that in the Dome in 3 weeks, that could be a lot of fun, but a long way to get there.
Oh, this is the loaded class in the state in my mind. This is the toughest class at the top of any class in Louisiana. Riverside has it all: size, speed, experience. Who else in the state could overcome losing Deuce Wallace and Jordan Loving? and be in this position. That tells you how good they are under Bill Stubbs. That's a really good team. Cameron Dantzler, best athlete in the class, at quarterback for St. Thomas Aquinas. And they've got a really good defensive front with Ed Alexander of LSU, the commit, and Colin Lee. So they're good. But then you look at Notre Dame. Come on. They're undefeated. Louis Cook's the coach. What else do you want to know? Dynamite. They could easily win this thing. And then Madison Prep, undefeated, emerging power, almost did it last year. This could be their year. They beat Livonia to start the season, the defending state champ. St. Charles Catholic, look out. They're a dark horse as a 5 seed, really? They're that good, and they're looking at a semifinal rematch with Riverside. And Calvary Baptist, all they've done is win the last 2, and even without Shea Patterson, with the schedule they've played, they could win it all. They're really good.
That one looks like a lot of fun.
And I even mentioned Ouachita Christian, and they're 9-1, moving up in class, and they've done everything you need to do, and they're a legit threat.
And they're a 7 seed. Exactly. That's crazy. And lastly, Division 4, Ascension Episcopal, the number 1 seed. Probably the one, this will be the one of the 9 brackets that the people in our area know the least about.
Yeah, and really this is all about 3 teams from the same district that are the 1, 2, and 3 seeds, all from District 7, 1A, and they had tri-champions. They kind of beat each other off in Ascension Episcopal, along with Vermilion Catholic and Central Catholic. All can score. As I mentioned, they all beat each other off, so any one of those 3 could win it. And, of course, lying in the wings is unbeaten St. Mary's of Natchitoches. They haven't lost a game this year. The question is the competition. We'll find out pretty quickly once they get to the playoffs. Unquestionably, the dark horse is Southern Lab. They are really, really good. I mean, they lost to IMG Academy, who's an elite national team out of Florida, and they lost to Kenwood to end the year. They can beat anybody. Talent-wise, they might be the best team.
Lot to cover. We did it in a short amount of time. It all starts Friday night with all of the games, and there are 2 things you want to do, obviously. Stay with SportsNola.com. Best scoreboard in the state. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on there. Ken's original prep football report on WGSO 990 AM. You can also keep up with it here at SportsNola.com and a statewide network as well. And, of course, we'll have games for you here at SportsNola.com as well. As we mentioned, Holy Cross St. Aug Friday night, Jesuit Shaw Saturday night. Tune in, follow along. It basically covers it. Forget anything?
No, tune in and turn out. Go see the games.
Yeah.
Watch and listen in, too.
Yeah, because remember, you can bring your phones with you. You can follow along on the scoreboard on your phones. It's very compatible. It works well. Ken, thanks for the time. That's our special edition of the First NBC Bank Weekend Preview as we look at high school football. Again, stay with us here at SportsNola.com. This is the place to get your prep football coverage.